Hey guys, welcome back. It's your girl Toya T, and this is my recap and review of Insecure's Season 2, Episode 8, Hella Perspective, aka the finale. Of course, I have to have my wine with me and my large wine stemless goblet. This is a red Moscato to get us through this final episode for this season. So let's start off with a sip. Okay. How did we get here? I want to be really honest with you guys. When this episode ended, I just was like, what is going on here? Where is this going? I was left with more questions than answers, and I felt it was like very anticlimactic, but also semi-real and circular in the way that things turned out, and I'll get to it. So this final episode really was trying to play off the whole idea of perspective, and so we get 3 separate storylines that all happen within the period of a month, and so each section has like a little title card that starts off. So the first person that we see is actually Issa, and it touches on the whole gentrification of her neighborhood in this part of the episode. And so we see her wearing her niggas red sweatshirt that I heard is actually the director's, it's her shirt, her personal shirt that she lets Issa wear. And Issa was actually wearing that shirt on the first episode when we saw her on all those mini dates at that bar. And so, as I said, it's the storyline seems to be very circular. We kind of have started in one place and come back to that place. And we come back to Issa wearing that niggas shirt, except this time she's walking through her neighborhood eating what I assume is some frozen yogurt. And she is walking past some boarded up stores, some stores that are now being trying to be leased, that have been closed, and there's one particular new coffee house that's coming, and the lady outside is trying to drum up business before they open, and she asks Issa if she wants a free coupon or whatever for when they open, and Issa says no, but then she comes back and asks her, like, wasn't this restaurant, wasn't this place a family fish grill or fish restaurant? And this well, she's a white lady. That's what she is. She's very like a happy-go-lucky, like, yeah, I don't know, but I heard that they're gonna turn all of these stores into a promenade, and she tells her, like, you should come back. Then this is great for Iwood. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think this is the real personification of gentrification that. I like that they show it from the resident side and showing it as Issa is she works full time. She doesn't make a lot of money, but she can't even afford to live in the neighborhood that she's always lived in. Like, who wanted to live in Inglewood? Who was forced to live in Inglewood was pretty much, the black residents of the LA area. And then all of a sudden now, because Inglewood is closer, I guess, in close proximity to downtown, all these other places, all of a sudden now, just like every other area, it is becoming gentrified and made better for the new residents that tend to be white young professionals that wouldn't in 20 years have tried to live in Inglewood, but once they repackage it and call it Iwood, all of a sudden it's hip and trendy. And so it's really sad to kind of see them touch upon this whole idea of her neighborhood is quickly turning over, and there's no space for people like Issa in it. So that's how that began. Then it goes into the titled sections for each person. So it starts off with 30 Days with Lawrence, and we start off with him running the I think it's a 10K race through LA with his co-workers, including Aparna, and they're flirting and laughing, and he seems to be in really good spirits until he looks over and he happens to see Molly and Issa on the side. For a minute there, I thought that this was some kind of hallucination, but they really were there. And we find out later that they were there to support Kelly that's actually doing this 10K race too. And so after he sees Issa, he kind of gets he gets in like a weird kind of mode, like he's uncomfortable and starts to run off. And it looks like he just wanted to get out of there. Like he just didn't want to be, like it looks like he's trying to get out of there and he doesn't want to be in that space. And so they finish the race. And the next scene that we see, I think it's like 3 days later, and we see Lawrence and Aparna at Lawrence's place. They're in his kitchen. It seems to be like 3 days later after the race, and he's cooking for her, and apparently she's supposed to be helping him, but she's not. She's just sitting on the counter eating food and talking shit, like she does, like real nonchalant. She's really like an easy-go-lucky kind of woman. And she mentions that she brought him a housewarming plant, which really seemed like a statement piece, like I'm your girlfriend and a woman gave this to you kind of piece, because it wasn't like, I don't think you give men housewarming plants. And if you're going to give them a plant, you give them, I don't know, like a fern or something, not a, like she gave him like some lilies, no, orchids. She gave him some, like that doesn't make any sense. But he's talking to her about how maybe he might be ready to, you know, start his new project, start thinking about a new idea. And she suggests that he actually join up with some other people on an existing app, program, whatever, that they're already working on. It happens to be Colin, who we find out, one of the people on the project happens to be this guy named Colin that she happened to have had sex with, and we had seen it in one of the earlier episodes when they were joking around, and she was like, oh, I only slept with him once, blah blah blah, blah, or you know, I only got down with Colin and it wasn't that great. And so she suggests he gets on there, and he's like, you know, just to see, like, you know, how this, what people are working on, and probably just to figure out what to do next for his own, or what to change on his next idea. And so he agrees with her, and then they end up having the sextuses on the counter. And again, I'm like, yo, Lawrence, what the hell are you thinking? Like, you are not fully over, you're not fully over this whole relationship that you have with Issa. You obviously from the last episode are still butthurt about what happened. You completely disrespected Issa. That was, I told you, I was like, fuck you, Lawrence, because how he spoke to her was just so unnecessary. I know he was mad, but damn. But it showed that he still has feelings for her, and he still hasn't gotten over it. And then he's doing the same stupid things that he did from the beginning, when he went into that, rushed into that situationship with Tasha, where he was acting like he was her man, but then, you know, in actions, but then was really looking at it like, we just fucking. And, you know, Tasha had to tell him about himself, and now it seems like he's getting to the same thing with Aparna, who seems to be very, like, you know, free-spirited, go with the flow kind of girl who, you know, doesn't seem to be too hung up about some of his shit. And he, I mean, like, you're cooking this chick dinner in your place, and like, it's just too much. You kissing her in public, like they did, like, kiss at the end of the finish line. I'm just like, what is this? I just don't get it. But anyway, from there we see Lawrence actually ends up a couple days later, I guess, actually at dinner, and they're at a restaurant, and we find out that through, you know, they seem to be like dating, but like in a relationship, and you work together. Like, Lawrence, get your shit together. This is not a recipe for something good, especially when you are still trying to get over your last relationship. And Aparna got to see like the tail end of the shit that you were still in with your shared friends, with your ex-girlfriend and with your ex-girlfriend. And so we see him at dinner with her, and she happens to mention that she heard that she was asking him about how things were going on this Saddle app that she suggested that he get on with, you know, her ex-flame Colin, or her ex-work booty, and this other guy. And he's like, oh, it's okay, you know, this is just the first week. And she's like, oh, I heard things are going really well, Colin told me. He's like, oh, you seem to be hearing a lot of stuff from Colin. And she lets him know that, you know, it's nothing that serious, like we just had sex. And this is how you know Lawrence is not meant for this, like, this, he's not really meant for this fuckboy life that's like hoeing around life, this, I'm gonna bang everything in my eyeline life, because he hears her say like, oh, we, every time we slept together, me and Colin, we were always drunk. It means nothing. Like, I don't see me having sex with him meaning that me and him are real close. And he's like, that's as close as you can get to someone. Like, if I'm having sex with you, like, there's a connection. And he seems to be getting jealous because she's mentioned that they slept together more than once, and he's just like, okay. And I think his wheels are turning like, shit, I don't want to get played again. And so the next thing that we see is him hanging out with Derek and Chad, and they're helping him hang his new flat screen TV. And of course, Chad had to ask, Lawrence about Aparna, and he actually says, what's up with you and new girl? What's her name? Jasmine? And I was like, oh my gosh, you only said that because she's Middle Eastern. Chad is a mess, but I love him because at least he's, honest. And Lawrence mentions that, things are cool, but, he's working with one of her exes. And of course, Chad and Derek was just like, nah, you got to shut that down. Chad's like, you don't want to get played again like you did with Issa. Like, so shut that down. You better make sure that she ain't talking to that dude no more. And Derek mentions that Tiffany had a dude at her job that, she used to be friendly with. And he went to go talk to the dude, and the dude no longer is around. So that's obviously one of the issues in their marriage that they mentioned, that Tiffany was starting to mention, but then didn't give us any details in those earlier episodes. So that was obviously an issue that they had in their marriage. And Chad, being being the kind of man that he is, was like, you need to shut that down, because you don't need to be having no other dudes around these bitches. It's just it's just extra dick around that you don't need to have. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this is the mentality of men. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, you can go around and be cool with your homegirls and going out and partying. And we saw how Chad hugged up on that real estate agent that helped Lawrence get his apartment. And I'm pretty sure his fiance would have been happy about that. But she can't have no dudes around her that are just friends, because that's a potential dick. Like, you just don't trust her. And I just thought that shit was fucked up. But again, men and women think differently, I guess, but it's great to see like the realness of this. I was just like, okay. But then we also see from that everyone seems to be watching this show Due North. And so during this time, Derek mentions that Tiffany's actually watching it over at Issa's place. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to mention it. And Lawrence hears Issa's name, and again, he seems to get triggered. And he's like, nah, it's cool. Then we eventually see Lawrence and Aparna. This is when the shit hits the fan. And I told you, Lawrence wasn't ready for this shit. He ain't built for this life. And so we see him in the car with Aparna, and they're going to the movies, and she's on her phone giggling and laughing, and he's trying to like make a joke to her, but she's obviously not listening. And so when he finally gets her attention, she still seems distracted and is like laughing at things she sees on her phone. And he's like, oh, I didn't realize that Colin was that funny. Just showing that he's still uncomfortable with the fact that he has to work with her and this dude that she used to be involved with, that he sees as like more than she sees it. And she tells him, you know what, stop it right here. Like, I deal with your shit. And he's saying like, I don't deal with shit. I just want you to be honest with me. I don't like being lied to. And it's like, she didn't lie to you. And y'all, like, he is really treating this like this is his girl. And it's like, y'all are just dating. And this is why it's bad to date people in your workplace, because again, shit's going to be really awkward between them, but maybe on his side and not so much on Aparna's side, because she seems to be like, okay, dust him off, keep going, I'm super cool, I don't get into this whole feelings thing. And so she tells him to pull over, because she's like, you know what, I've been through this kind of shit before, and I ain't about to go through it again. Like, this is Aparna on some grown woman, I ain't got time for the bullshit kind of shit. And so she tells him pull over, and he doesn't pull over. So she just, as soon as she's like still yelling at him, like, you know, you still have all your shit hang-ups and stuff. And then all of a sudden we see his phone ring, and it says Issa, and she's like, there goes your shit right there. She opens the door and she gets out the car and walks off. And he doesn't even go after her. I was like, obviously you weren't that serious, because you realized that she was right about you. Everyone has been right about you. Tasha read you the riot act. Derek pretty much told you about yourself and how you are also to blame for what happened between you and Issa. And Issa, you know, told you bluntly what was going on in your relationship, not in a nice way, but, you know, told you about your shit. And then finally, I think he started to grasp, like, oh gosh, what's going on here. The next thing we see him in front of his old apartment with Issa, and he's walking through the building. You think he's about to knock on the door, but he actually puts his key in and he walks in. And that's the end for 30 Days with Lawrence. 30 Days with Molly. There are some good things on this one. So Molly, we see her again. It all starts off with at Kelly's race. They're there to see Kelly at the 10K, and she's talking to Issa and saying, like, you're asking for some kind of suggestions on places to hang out, because she told her that Lionel, that's the lawyer dude from Chicago, Little Rel, the comedian, but I finally remember his name. Last episode I remember his name. That he's actually coming over from Chicago to LA, and she wants a place to take him out. And Issa's kind of quizzing her, like, oh, okay, like, you know, are you into that? And she's like, no, he's real cool, he's been really supportive, but he's really not my type. And Issa's like, oh, show me the picture. And I'm thinking that she means type as in, like, probably more physical, because I get it, like, I get it. I mean, it's not like he's not an unattractive man, but we saw Molly's taste last season when she was, you know, trying to do the Elite app, where she had all of these, like, you know, GQ looking black men with great jobs. And, you know, as he said, he got to pass the body, so it ain't, you know, it ain't on that GQ or like kind of six-pack body that she seems to be looking for to make, I don't know, these perfect, you know, super babies with, I don't know what she wants at this point, because Molly's confused. We all know Molly's confused, and we will see later that she is still very fucking confused. And so she shows Issa the picture, and she's like, oh, okay, he got a beard. And which is funny, because this is the point where, for Lawrence's part of the episode, this is when when he ran by them. So this is the part where he saw them. And we find out that, we find out here, this is that they're there to support Kelly, and they're also waiting for Tiffany and Derek to get there. The next thing we see is that Molly is killing it. She's at a job interview with a black firm. I mean, they have, like, I mean, we can just go from here. Like, you see this, like, you know, black art. Like, that's what was in the office. Like, you knew this was a proud black space, this law firm. And they're asking her all these questions, and she's killing it. And they seem to be really into her. She's answering the questions, the job interview questions really well. They tell her, you know what, like, on paper, we thought you looked good, but in person, you are amazing. And, you know, they, you know, ask her about, like, you know, we love that they mentioned that they love that she's a LA native, which means that she knows the clientele in the area very well. And they even make jokes about, like, you know, is there still a McDonald's, you know, around the corner from where your neighborhood is? And she's like, yes. And, like, this is a different type of Molly that we haven't really seen at her law firm. She seems very happy and light. We eventually find out that they, in the next scene, we find out that they gave her an offer for the job at that law firm, and she's talking to Lionel about this. She's in Chicago. No. We see her talking to Lionel about this at the restaurant. So he's in LA now, and she's telling him about the offer, and she's like, yeah, they offered me 3 days later. They gave me the offer, and I'm just gonna go on more interviews and field stuff, and so I can bring it to my law firm and tell them, like, look, like, I'm in demand. You should, you know, make a good offer to me. And they're like, he's just really supportive of her. It's like, yeah, girl, fuck up them commas, you know, put that, you know, make sure that they give you that check. Finally get the pay that she's due, and that she finally get paid what the mediocre white lawyer, that white dude lawyer, was being paid for doing nothing and talking about he's trying to do the bare minimum, and she hitting here burning the midnight oil and doing things above and beyond just to get half of his pay. And so he's really you know, he's just being really supportive of her. And then she, at this point, we realize that she sees Lawrence in the same restaurant. He's having dinner with Aparna. See, this is how it all crosses in together. They're all, you know, eventually meeting up with each other, and the stories are intersecting. The stories are intersecting here. And so she sees Lawrence and he's like, what's up? And she's like, oh, I just saw some dude I used to know. And he's like, well, I'm not surprised because you're the most beautiful woman in here. Yes, Lionel, with the cute, sweet compliment. Whew. And she already is like curbing him. I thought that she was open to like things with him, but she was obviously curbing him like, okay. He's like, yeah, you know, when you come to Chicago next week, we'll take a night off and I'll take you out to dinner. And she's like, okay, homie. She hit him with the homie. Like, she might as well just have patted him on the back like, yeah, you know, like getting him some dap at that point. And he got it. He read the social cue and was like, okay, I guess she's not interested, but I ain't gonna push it. He's, you know, he was still nice. Then we see Molly in Chicago, and no, actually, that's not what we saw. Not what we saw. What we saw is, shout out to Margot, one of my viewers. Molly is finally back with her therapist. Margot, girl, good looking out for making that emergency appointment for Molly, because she took it. She took it. And so I was so happy when I saw that Molly was at her therapist. I clapped. I was like, yes. Yes. And she's opened up to her. She's telling her about her date with Lionel, or the dinner she had with Lionel. And she's asking her like, why aren't you open to him? And she's like, well, I feel like I should. And then she catches herself and says, you know what, there I go again. And you know, the therapist is telling her, maybe you should turn those shoulds into coulds. Like, maybe I could do this. So she does say, like, you know, maybe I could be open to a relationship with someone that I don't see as my type. Or as, you know, someone that I don't see, that I didn't envision as my dream person. But at that time, as the therapist is applauding her and says, yes, I'm happy you came back. I'm happy you're making this progress. She's like, well, let's set up the next appointment, and Molly's open to it. And I was like, yes. But as she's doing it, her phone goes off, and who is texting her but fucking Dro, and his freaking married ass, long ass freaking self, talking about, I miss you. Why do dudes do this? They seem to have some kind of radar when we're happy, or at least in a good space. Like, she was in a good space and he just fucked that shit up. He ruined this beautiful growth moment by saying, I miss you, when you shouldn't be saying, I miss you, because you have a fucking wife. Getting upset here. You have a fucking wife. She told you she was done with you on this open marriage, being your extra girl thing. She's your friend. Okay, accept that. Don't be talking about, I fucking miss you. Go miss your motherfucking wife. Whew. Alrighty. I'm getting triggered here. I'm getting real triggered. Cannot, like, did not want to see Dro again. And so she just kind of looks at it and like, okay. Then we see her, she's in Chicago, taking her therapist's ideas into mine, and she's working with Lionel. They're working late night in his office, and they're trying to meet a deadline. And he was telling her, like, you know what, let's take a little break while we, you know, since we've done so much work tonight. And he goes and gets some Hennessy, that brown liquor, that cognac, and I know, it's like, oh shit, shit's about to pop off. We here late night, you got a couch in your office that y'all both are sitting on. You like her, and you pulling out the freaking cognac, that brown devil, that ghetto Casanova drink. And so they cheer, and she's, you know, she is looking at him in a different way. And so she takes a couple sips. I'll show how it worked out. It was like this. It was like, yeah, and he's talking, and she's looking at him like, I'm about to fuck this nigga up. Let me try out that dick right there. And so she puts her glass down, takes his glass from him, and she attacks him. Much smoother than Issa. We all remember when Issa was trying to get down with Neighbor Bay, and she hit him right in the head. She forehead buttoned him. Molly got the moves. Molly's definitely smoother than Issa. Oh, damn. Molly's definitely smoother than Issa, and she starts kissing him. She starts taking off her dress. He starts taking off his shirt, and she jumps right on the dick. There was a jump cut there, and so one minute they are they're pretty much taking off their clothes, and the next minute he ain't got no pants on and she's riding him, and she seems to be having a good time, and he's like definitely feeling it. And the next scene we see her talking to Issa and Kelly about it. They're in Issa's apartment about to watch the finale of Due North, the slave drama that they've been playing all season. That and so she tells him, like, I guess, it's cool. Like, he makes me laugh. And Issa's like, you making it seem like you thinking, oh, the dick wasn't good and you not into it. And she's like, no, I'm open to it. Like, I really need someone who, makes me laugh and supports me and all this other stuff. And so she seems to be in this good place where she's considering her options. On that part, Kelly asked her whether she's going to stay with the white folks at her law firm or go with the black firm, and points out that, when you work with black people, they try to like convert you over to their religions. Like, girl, stop trying to baptize me up at work. And then she says for the white people, which is really true. So you got black people where there might be a little bit too much familiarity, where people tend to cross boundaries because of there is a bit of that barrier, that kind of tense barrier brought down. And then when you work in all white spaces, you have to in that case, you're not even drawing lines, you're drawing a different line where you're trying to make them feel comfortable with you, like the way you dress, the way you do your hair, explain, being the black voice and explaining things. And I love that Kelly mentioned all of these things, because all these things are true. Molly hasn't decided what she's going to do yet. Tiffany's supposed to be there, but she's not there. We find out, I didn't even mention that. We found out earlier that Tiffany is pregnant. And so she's like, I guess she decided not to show up. And so we also, what's that from her? Yeah. So then Issa asked them, and so they finished watching the finale of Due North, and Issa asked them to help her pack her stuff. And so Issa asked them to help her pack her stuff, and so they're helping her pack her stuff up. And we realize that she is moving. Like, I knew she had to move. Like, there's no way she's poor. Like, she don't make no money. And so she's packing her stuff up and getting ready to try and get her stuff so she can move, because she doesn't have a new place to move into, but she does have to get out of there. And so they're helping her pack her stuff up. And then we see Molly. Eventually the next scene, we see Molly meeting up with the partners, and they're like, yeah, we heard that you are talking to other law firms, because the legal field and market is very small here in LA, and we really don't want to lose you. We value you, and we think that you are a great asset to our law firm. And this is where you think that they're about to try to be competitive and, give her a salary boost, offer her a promotion or something. Instead, what these motherfuckers do is on some real, like, paternalism type of shit. Sorry if I have to pull out the big words. I'm a sociologist. Like, it just irks the fuck out of me. Pull out some like paternalistic type of shit and said, oh, we're gonna give you the Rising Star Award. What is this? Is this fucking kindergarten? She opens it up. It's a fucking certificate like you get in the first grade for having perfect attendance, or for being the best helper. And like, that's what it was. It was the best helper award that she got. That doesn't come with any money, doesn't come with a job promotion, doesn't come with anything but a pat on the back and your picture featured on their website. And they seem very proud of what they offered her, knowing that they're paying that mediocre white dude more money than her. He doesn't do the same amount of work. He's not bringing anything in. No one is checking for his ass. People are checking up for Molly, and they give her this bullshit like, be happy with what we give you. Listen to Massa. Massa gave you a gold star. Be happy with what we gave you, even though we know you can go someplace else, but we don't value you enough to actually pay you what you are worth. That was some bullshit. She took that, and the next thing we see her in the bed. So she's like post-coitus. She's in the bed. She's talking to somebody. He's in the shower. I'm assuming that it was Lionel, but I don't think that he's in LA, and so no, I would say it's Lionel. I would say it's Lionel. I would say it's Lionel. It was Lionel, and she seemed to have, you know, fucked her way out of this situation, try to get over it. And then she gets a call from Issa, and then it switches over to 30 Days with Issa. Whew. This is where I'm the most disappointed. This is where I was just like, it's got to get better. But it didn't. But okay, we'll get there. Again, starts off with the race, the 10K race. Issa and Molly on the sidelines. They're still waiting. Tiffany and Derek show up. They're late, but they're like, we have a good reason. And then they all get a message from Kelly saying that she's at the finish line because they're all waiting for her to go by mile 14. And so they're like, damn, did she finish? They find her. She's on a ambulance bed. Turns out that in some extra Kelly TMI kind of moment, she tells them that she got her period. Which is only funny because before they were looking out for Kelly and said that she said that she'd be wearing all white and that's how they'd find her. She says that she got her period. And then she didn't have a chance to remedy that situation by using a sanitary napkin, a pad, a tampon, menstrual cup, something. And so she said the red wedding happened around mile 9, which means that her whole, we can only imagine the white pants, because she's covered with one of those warming kind of silver blanket things that they always give you at marathons, obviously because she bled through her white pants. And she's really upset because she said, you know, I've been training for this for so long, you guys have known this. And they're, Molly and Issa are like, yeah. Before that, they mentioned that they were bad friends because you know, they didn't even realize that Kelly was into this. And, you know, Molly mentions that Kelly is, you know, really on this health kick, and she even invited me to a jazz class, you know, dance class. And she's like, what the fuck, girl, like, what you doing? But I kind of, you know, Kelly's still in good spirits. She's like, you know, I tried, I really worked hard for this. And this is where Tiffany actually mentions that she's pregnant, and she's like, you know, Auntie Kelly, you got it. And this is when Tiffany has the read of all reads. She's like, everybody's doing big things. I'm having a baby. Kelly getting fit. Molly taking interviews, and Issa, and she could not find anything. And it's a read, but it is a truthful read because Issa really doesn't have anything going on. Like, nothing. I told you I wanted something great to happen for Issa. Something like at the end of last season when she got that job, you know, the pat on the back and the accolades, and her things in her job were going well. Despite the whole breakup with Lawrence thing, like, she had that at the end. And this time there's nothing. And so she tells them, you know, I'm moving. That's something. Also at this time, Issa looks over and she actually sees Lawrence and Aparna celebrating at the finish line and kissing again in public, like they go together in front of their co-workers. But you know how I feel about Lawrence and that nonsense. But so anyway, so then we end up seeing that Issa is at work and her boss is there, and they actually are there on a weekend, and they have some of the Latino kids that weren't being served at the high school at, you know, in their conference room getting some PSAT prep and tutoring. And the boss is like, oh, this is so great to, you know, that's a great idea that you guys came up with, you know, using this space on the weekends. What made you think about this? And Issa tells her, like, well, we're trying to serve some of the students that weren't being served at the high school. And her boss starts digging in, like, why not? Like, what's going on? Did you need more people? And she's like, oh, you know, it was the program was kind of full. And then eventually she was like, well, I can add on more people. And eventually Issa tells her that it's not about getting more space and having 2 more people from We Got Y'all working with them. It actually is a matter of that the vice principal wasn't looking to help the Latino students there. And her boss points out, like, you didn't put that in your report. And she's making moves to go talk to Frida about it. And Issa comes clean and says, you know what, it has nothing to do with Frida. I was the one that didn't put it in there. And the boss is like upset. She's like, you know, are we having segregated we got y'all programs? Like, we can get sued for this. This is discrimination. Like, I can't believe you did this. And once I clear this up, we're going to reevaluate whether or not you should be in the field. So she reprimands Issa, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, please don't lose your job. I thought she was going to say, we're going to talk about whether or not you will continue to work here. And I was like, fuck, she cannot be moving out of her place because she got priced out and lose her job. But she didn't lose her job. She still has it, but it seems like she's going to be on some kind of probation. And so I'm so mad about that. I also go back to this whole watching of Due North. This is where actually Issa asked them to help ask Molly and Kelly to help her pack her stuff. So yeah, this is the part where she asked them to, and they're like, girl, you ain't got no place to go and you got a lot of stuff. And they suggested that she have a yard sale and sell some stuff. And so she decides that she's going to do that because we find out that she's actually going to be staying with her brother until she finds a place to stay. And so we see her outside with all her stuff out, trying to sell it, trying to sell stuff that's broken, like selling a duster buster. They ain't got no cord. She's trying to sell a musty old Target blanket that got a stain on it, and all these other things. And we do have Thug Yoda come by. He want to buy the Brock pot, you know, because he can't say C. He's with his daughter, and he ends up buying it. And we also see Neighbor Bay. He comes up, and he's with his new girl, obviously the girl that he was studying with. And she's sitting on the couch, and he's telling her like, oh, so you moving? Like, I'm gonna miss you. Like, you know, I really gonna miss seeing you around here, especially since I've been, you know, using your Wi-Fi. And she's like, yeah, I can tell because my stuff was slow. And I was like, this dude remind me of Bruh Man. That's what he remind me of. Bruh Man for the fifth floor for Martin. And so he, you know, continues to say that he's gonna miss having her around. I don't understand how he's gonna be able to stay in this apartment with the rent increase and all the noise complaints that he has gotten. We see that the girl that Neighborhood Babe was with actually asked if she is selling the couch, and then Issa looks at it, and the next thing we see is that she's in the apartment. It's all cleared out, so everything's packed up, and it's just her and the couch. And she looks at it, and she picks up her phone, and she calls Lawrence, and she leaves him a message. So this is when Issa calls Lawrence, and he's in the car with Aparna having that fight. He didn't pick it up, but she left a message saying like, I'm moving, and I think that you should have the couch. You can come get it on this day. I'll be gone from 2 to 6, so you can come in. You don't have to see me. The next thing we see from that is that Issa's at work, and we find out that Frida ends up getting promoted to being director of student outreach or whatever they're doing. And people at the meeting, her coworkers, are pissed. And Issa seems genuinely happy for Frida, but I think she also noticed that she was on the track to getting that kind of promotion, and she really could have used it because she needs the money, and she needs to get her car fixed, she needs to do a whole bunch of stuff. But she didn't get that because of the mistakes that she was making. And so she genuinely seems happy for Frida. She tells Frida congratulations and offers to buy her a drink. So that's the end of the whole work drama. So Issa didn't get fired, but she definitely didn't get the promotion that she definitely was in line to get from the last season when she stepped up and showed her worth at work. So that's a downgrade. It seems like she went this way just to come back down. It seems like I want her to progress, but I guess you have to hit rock bottom to, you know, rise from there. So I guess this is where it is, like a whole bunch of like, I've hit it, this is it, time to start over. Next, we see Issa being driven by her brother, who has a really nice car. He has a nice BMW. I was checking out. I was like, oh, girl, your brother seems to have a good job and a car. He can't help you buy something? He can't help you get a rental? But he's driving her to her apartment just so she can do the walkthrough and give the manager the keys. She's going, you know, after the times that she said that she was going to not be there. And so he pulls up and tells her, okay, you got like 10 minutes. You know, how long you gonna take to get this? And as they're driving up, we see her in the car with her brother, and as they're driving up, he mentions all these rules, like, you can't have nobody up in my place, they gotta take off their shoes, don't have none of your friends taking no showers at my house. Like, it seems like he has really strict rules, and it would be very difficult for Issa, you know, knowing Issa, to live there with her brother, but she's taking it because she has nowhere to go. And so see her walking up there, and homegirl was looking cute though. She had a nice little two-piece like halter top backless kind of thing. Her hair was looking tight. I said, okay, I see you, Issa, coming in looking good. And good thing she was, because when she walked upstairs and walked into the apartment, she turns the corner to go check the kitchen, and who's in there but Lawrence? Turns out Lawrence heard that, you know, 2 to 6. So this is where we see Lawrence had gone into the apartment at the end of his part of the episode, and he did come towards the end of the 2 to 6 time period that she said that she wouldn't be there, and he actually stayed there because he wanted to talk to her. As I said, good thing that Issa came in there looking good, because if it was me and I was just going to do a run through my apartment and give my keys off to the manager, I would have walked up in there no makeup and some sweats, and probably my hair in like a head wrap or something. Like it wouldn't have been as cute as she looked. So she came in there, and he is saying like, we need to talk, and so they go sit in the kitchen, and he decides that he wants to apologize and said, you know, like, he actually admits to his part of their breakup and saying like, you know, it was wrong for me to have put you through, like, you know, that taking care of me and all this other stuff, and feeling like the burden of our relationship was on you. And I apologize because I had all of these thoughts about what I wanted to be, what I envisioned myself to be, and I wasn't that. And I'm sorry that I wasn't the man that I wanted to be for you. And so she takes that, and she also apologizes to him and tells him that she was sorry for sleeping with Daniel. It was the worst thing she ever done to him, that she's always loved him, he's done nothing but love her, and she was not picking up the slack, that she could have done better when he was going through his depressive state, and she could have tried to really work through their issues instead of being passive aggressive and not saying anything, and then eventually sleeping with somebody else. And she tells him that she still loves him, and he says that he still loves her too. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I know you two still love each other. You've been together 5 years. Of course the love is still there. And they hug, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to get back together like I wanted to? But they part ways. They separate, and you know, he was tearing up, she was, you know, tearing up through this, and he says, you know, I gotta go. And she walks him to the door, and he says, bye, Issa. And in that moment, this is her classic hallucination there, because I thought this shit was really happening, but then I saw it and I was like, this cannot be real. And so we see Lawrence in this dream sequence that she's having, that he gets on one knee and asks her to marry him, and then she looks over to the couch, and then we see, like, you know, a vision of them after their wedding, and she's in her gown and he's in his tux, and he's holding her, and they're all canoodling and looking at their ring. And then next shot is to sexy ass Lawrence giving it to Issa, and I was like, yes, buddy, of course they had to have a sex scene for you at the end. Couldn't go without it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would have preferred Daniel, but thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we see Issa's pregnant, then we see them with the baby, and they walk into the apartment, and then she flashes back to the door, and we realize it didn't happen. She was thinking about all the things that she had hoped would have happened between the two of them, and that, you know, that dream may very much be gone, and it's time to move on. And she says bye to him, and he leaves. The next scene, we see her off at Molly's place, and they actually are having like a Moroccan girls' night in kind of thing. Molly seems to have ordered some Moroccan food. She got all these Moroccan dishes and plates and setting, like pillows and stuff. She got them both, I would like to say caftans. They all dressed up in these, you know, special order caftans, and, you know, they're really enjoying each other's company. And we see that at least their relationship is back to solid. And, you know, they mention how much they love each other and how great it is and how they're going to have a great night. And they just seem to be in a really good space together. And you think from there, like, okay, girl, this happened to me, this happened to you, but we're going to move on to like bigger and better things, and we're gonna move forward and everything's gonna be great. The next day we see them holding hands and walking out to, walking to Molly's apartment door, and Issa's leaving and they hug and she gets into a lift, and I'm thinking she's going to her brother's house. And then full circle again, how we go in a circle, going in circles and circles. So we see Issa come up to a door, and it's the same door she was at during the first freaking episode. First scene, first episode of this season, where she's at the door, and who opens the door but fucking Daniel. I'm happy to see him, which means that we're gonna see Daniel in season 3. Hopefully some more naked Daniel. But I didn't see how this, after she had that freak out on him over the whole, like, him coming in her face and how she overreacted, I wanted to see how she apologized to him and is now apparently not going to be living with him or staying with him. She comes in and she has her bags with her from Molly's place, and she's like, I'm sleeping on the couch. Girl, you have a place to stay. You can stay with your brother. He might be a bit of a handful. He might be annoying. He might have a lot of rules. Even Molly offered to allow her to stay with her at her place, and she said no so that she can go stay with Daniel and make that shit extra messy. You guys are going to be fucking. You have this whole like serious crazy issue. Obviously y'all just don't work well together, and you're gonna go stay with him and say you're gonna sleep on the couch. Girl, you ain't. He said, oh, I know. Girl, you ain't sleeping on no couch. You're gonna be in his bed by the end of the week. And I just was so mad because I did not see this ending this way. I really wanted her to get back with Lawrence, but if she wasn't gonna get back with Lawrence, I wanted Issa to move on and be independent and be taking care of herself and moving in the right direction and not moving backwards, because moving in with Daniel or staying with Daniel is not moving forward. But again, this is, I guess they're trying to ground this in reality, and this was what real, like, fucked up, imperfect people do. And so I was just so mad when I saw him, and that's how the fucking episode ends with that. But before that happens, I have to mention this, that right before that, we see after Issa had left that Molly gets a text message that she's putting her dishes away, and she smiles and she looks, and then all of a sudden the next scene we see her trying on different types of lingerie. She already got like a nice little red piece on. I was like, okay, go ahead, Molly. We get Lionel coming over. Yeah, we gonna move on, do good thing. We gonna work at the black firm. We're gonna make money, be happy, go to our therapist. She hears a knock on the door. She goes to the door. Who's at the fucking door but Dro's motherfucking ass, smiling with that freaking just I'm now on the train that I don't think that his wife knows about this, because if we're in an open marriage and I'm saying that, you can go do you and I'll do me, and we're just not going to lie to each other about stuff, but there are going to be ground rules, like we are still married. We got married for a reason. I don't need you to be saying I miss you to no other bitches. I'm sorry. We don't need you to say I miss you to nobody. You miss me. You fuck her, but you miss me. And I just could not stand it. And so he comes in, and obviously we're going to start off the season with Dro coming back too. We're going to see his long, naked, freaking yellow ass again. And I'm already triggered. I'm triggered and mad. But that's how the season ends. The only person that I feel like is going in good places is Lawrence. And I don't want Lawrence to be the one that's getting the most growth. Is that wrong? Is that wrong? I mean, I just wanted so much more from my two girls, and I just don't feel like they're going forward. Like at the end, we do see that Lawrence seems to have moved past his issues. He apologized to Issa. He has a new place. He has a job. Hopefully he'll stay single for a little bit and work on his bullshit. He sent a friend request to Issa on Facebook. So even after he blocked her, he unblocked her, and now is trying to restart this, a friendship with her. So maybe they'll be friends, in the next season and hang out and eventually get back together, because that's where I wanted to go. But he's the only person that has any growth, and the two chicks, Molly and Issa, I just want them to do better. I just want them to do better for me, for every other black female out there that is watching them, that doesn't have all their shit together. We're not the Kerry Washingtons with the, just looking like everything is great and fabulous, and we always look good and do good things and get all these things. And we are imperfect, and we make mistakes, and we date, and we make dumb decisions, and we're digmatized, and we do all this stuff, but we still get our shit done. And I just wanted them to do that for me. I really wanted them to do that for me, but I I guess it's at a good place for us to have something to look forward to for season 3. And so I will say that I wish the finale was just a little bit more exciting, like last season's for season finale, but it's a good end to a great season. I look forward to season 3. Let me know what you thought about this finale. Were you happy with the way things tied up? Are you excited for what's going to happen, what's going to come in season 3? Let me know. Thank you guys for joining me for my wind down. This is the last one for this season. I will see you guys next season. Hopefully all the stuff that I just said gets resolved and I'm not as angry on the first episode. And so please come back. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Press that bell thing so you can get notified. And let me know if you want me to cover another show. I used to do Being Mary Jane, and I didn't, that show freaking irks the hell out of me. I yell more on that one because Mary Jane is too damn grown to make this, like, these fucked up stupid decisions. But if you want me to continue and finish that off, let me know. If there's anything else you want me to cover, let me know about that. I could do it. Thank you for joining me for this season. I look forward to season 3. I hope things get tied up because I want so much better for Issa and Molly. And, you know, let's take one last sip for this wind down, and I will see you guys next season. Oh, I love rice Moscato. I left the best for last. All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.